Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today's video is a little bit different. For those of you that have been around for a while, you all know that I lost my mother in November of 2022. So with the approaching Mother's Day holiday, I was just having some struggles with this holiday coming up. For the past several years, I've made my mother a handmade Mother's Day card, and I was just struggling with not making a card for her this year. And for many of us, crafting is a form of therapy for us, myself included. So I wanted to figure out a way that I can make a card, but rather than be a card that I would give to her, this would be a card in remembrance of her. So that's what I did. Going through the process of creating this card was a little bit different because I had no direction or idea of which way I wanted to lean. So I started to look through some of the things that were right on the top of my desk. I recently received a box of papers from Your Paper Insider, as well as I had a few dies that I had purchased recently. So I started to cobble together some ideas of some things to use. So let's take a look at what I ended up using. The first thing that I grabbed were these delicate butterfly dies. These are from Spellbinders, and I really love the intricate detail on them. Next was the With Sympathy set from Waffle, and I love all the small sentiments that are included in this set. Then I decided to grab the Bold Basic Alpha dies from scrapbook.com. This set includes both uppercase and lowercase letters, which make them great for basic to always have in your stash. In my last video, I unboxed a subscription box from Your Paper Insider. This paper subscription you receive quarterly, and you receive papers that are sourced from all over the world. My mother was a very feminine woman, and I chose these colors because I thought the pink represented her well. So let's start making our card. So off camera, I went ahead and cut down a piece of that gray cardstock that came in the subscription box down to, I think this is 4 by 5.25 rather. Yes, it is. So I'm showing you the measurements there. This piece measures 4 by 5.25. Then I took a piece of Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, and I cut that down to 3.25 by 5. So I'm going to be layering up these pieces of paper. I'm going to have several layers of paper for our base, or rather our card panel. So now I want to put a piece of this metallic, I think this is like a rice paper, on top of the white paper. So that means that I need to go 1/4 inch in on each side. So this will be like 3.5 by 4.25, if my measurements serve me correctly. If not, I'll put them up on the screen. So this paper is from a province in Japan, and it is very, very thin and delicate. So I tried cutting it with my guillotine trimmer, and it just was too delicate for that. So now I'm using my craft knife and a ruler to cut my paper, and these were the right tools to use. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. Got a little string there. And then I'm going to cut my next piece, or should I say next direction. So that's going to give us the, I think it's 3.5. When you cut this paper, make sure that you have a very sharp blade in your craft knife that will make your cutting a lot easier. So you can see here, I do a dry fit, layering all the layers up to make sure everything is going to work. So now I'm ready to cut out my butterflies. And you guys know that have been following me for a while and watching my videos, you know that I love dimension. So I'm going to take the base of the butterfly. I'm just going to cut that out a couple of times from some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. I'm going to layer the layers up in a little bit, but I'm going to use a piece of mint tape to hold my dies in place. as I run them through my die cutting machine. Because these dies are small, I can go ahead and use my Hero Arts compact cutter, which fits nicely on my desk, and I can just run those through really easily. Using this compact cutter makes for quick work of cutting out all these pieces. So I run that through the compact cutter, and now I'm just going to pop those dies out and repeat that process a couple more times to get all the butterflies I want to for my dimension. If you don't want to do all the die cutting, you can of course use foam tape or foam squares to add dimension. When I have the opportunity, I like to use die cutting because it gives full coverage of your entire die instead of just pockets like foam square or foam tape would do. So now I'm going to add the center pieces into my butterflies that are going to cut out all the intricate details of these butterflies. And to do that, I'm going to cut this out of some pink pearlized paper. And again, all the papers that I'll be using for this card came out of that kit from Your Paper Insider. So I'm just putting it down on my cardstock, running them through my die cutting machine, and now I'm popping those intricate butterflies out of that pink cardstock. I'm using my Tim Holtz craft pick to poke out all the details of the butterflies, and that's going to reveal a very lacy and intricate layer to our butterflies. Everything's been cut out, and now it's time to do a little bit of assembly of these butterflies. So we're going to glue all of our cardstock bases, our white cardstock outline shapes rather, together, and then we'll put the intricate detail layer on last. I'm using Barely Arts glue. I love that fine nozzle tip that is included with that glue. And I like the way that the glue itself adheres and holds everything in place. So I've gotten that larger butterfly layered up, and I'm going to put an acrylic block on top of that to kind of hold it in place. Reverse tweezers are the perfect tool to use when you're trying to apply little dabs and dots of glue to intricate details like this pink layer of the butterfly. So, and as well as having that little fine tip nozzle on the glue really helps a lot. It comes in so handy, as well as it makes you waste less glue because you don't have glue oozing out everywhere. You just dabbed and made little small dots. So you only have the amount of adhesive that you actually need. So I'm using those reverse tweezers as a handle to kind of position the butterfly, the intricate layer, over the solid base layer, and pressing that down with the tip of my reverse tweezers. I'm going to do the same thing for the second butterfly and then place both of those butterflies up under the acrylic block while all the layers dry and secure together. So while those butterflies spend a little time under their acrylic block, let's go ahead and die cut our letters. This is a piece of kind of a glittery white cardstock that was in that kit, and I'm going to use that for my letters as well as the body of my butterflies. Before I do that though, I kind of just want to do a dry fit of the letters on my rice paper to make sure that they're going to fit across the paper. If they didn't fit, I could have figured out a different orientation to get all the letters on the card. So I'm going to bring in my compact cutter again, and I'm going to put my letters on my this glitter cardstock. Now this glitter cardstock is not your typical glitter cardstock. At least I don't think it is. It does, when you touch it, the glitter doesn't flake everywhere, which I absolutely love. I personally love glitter cardstock, but I do understand the ones that are out there where you touch it, you die cut on it or anything, and the glitter just flakes everywhere and creates a glittery mess. This is not that type of cardstock though, and I was thankful for that. So I'm going to just run those letters and that body of the butterfly through the compact cutter, and everything cuts out of this cardstock like butter. Just as I did previously, I'm going to go ahead and die cut a couple of layers of the letters from some plain white cardstock so that we can layer those up for dimension. So I'm going to bring in that Barely Arts glue again and just apply a little bit of glue to each letter, layer them up, and then of course I'm going to place them under the acrylic block while we continue to assemble all the parts and pieces. I really love the look these butterflies took on once I added those glittery bodies to that already shimmery pink paper. And they really started to sparkle and shine, and I could really start to see how everything was going to come together. Again, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. All I knew was I needed to create a card. I needed to have this time doing my crafting and having this form of therapy. I thought about using a tape runner, but for this rice paper, but then I decided against it because I thought the tape runner might tear or pull the paper, and I certainly didn't want to do that. So instead, I'm just using small little lines of this of the Barely Arts glue on the back of that rice paper, and I'm applying it to the to that white panel so that you can now really see all the detail in this paper. So guys, it is at this point that I lost the rest of the footage of the assembly of the card, but I was able to keep or find the finished product of the card. So this is how the card ended up coming together, and I'm so very thrilled with how the finished product looks. I did go ahead and pop up that gray panel with a little bit of foam tape so that gives another layer of dimension to this card. I have to say, in the end, putting this card together was very therapeutic for me. And so to all of you who have lost your mom or your mother figures in your lives, know that I am thinking of you during this holiday, and I hope that you are thinking of me as well. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. All of the products that I used for this video will be listed and linked below, as well as on the coordinating blog post. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Delta Crafter, as well as on my website at thedeltacrafter.com. Until next time, everyone, take care and enjoy.